As night falls and the body settles into stillness, there exists a brief window where the mind remains alert, wandering freely even as physical activity ceases. This unique moment before sleep is often overlooked, yet it holds remarkable potential for reflection and mental clarity. Many people, however, fill this time with distractions or anxious thoughts, missing the chance to harness its benefits. Understanding how to use this transition wisely can lead to improved rest and a more peaceful mind. By recognizing the value of this period, we can transform our nightly routine into a powerful tool for well-being. From a Buddhist perspective, sleep is not viewed as a mere escape from daily life. Instead, it is considered an open gate, offering a unique opportunity to observe deep mental patterns. During sleep, the mind becomes more receptive, allowing subtle habits and thoughts to surface. This gentle awareness can lead to meaningful change, as individuals learn to recognize and transform these patterns. In this way, sleep becomes a valuable part of personal growth and mindfulness. Many people experience a constant stream of thoughts, often referred to as inner narration, that seems to shape their perception of reality. However, it is important to recognize that this mental chatter is not the essence of who you are. True awareness exists beyond these thoughts, acting as a silent observer that notices but does not become entangled in the narrative. By understanding this distinction, you can begin to separate your sense of self from the mind's ongoing commentary, fostering a deeper sense of clarity and calm. This awareness allows you to respond more thoughtfully to life's challenges, rather than simply reacting to the mind's impulses. Thoughts often emerge spontaneously, without any conscious effort or intention. They can appear suddenly, sometimes triggered by external events or internal sensations, and frequently drift in and out of our awareness. This unpredictable nature reveals that we are not always in control of our thoughts, challenging the notion that they are a true reflection of who we are. By simply observing these thoughts as they arise, it becomes clear that they are fleeting mental events, not defining characteristics. Recognizing this distinction can help us develop a more objective perspective on our inner experiences. The language we use in our thoughts can deeply influence our sense of self. When we habitually use the word I, it often creates a false impression of ownership and identity, making us believe that every thought is a direct reflection of who we are. This subtle linguistic habit can intensify feelings of intimacy with our thoughts, blurring the line between observation and identification. By recognizing this pattern, we can begin to understand how language shapes our perception and gently loosen the grip of automatic self-association. Many people fall into the trap of identification, believing that every thought passing through their mind is a reflection of themselves. This tendency becomes particularly pronounced before sleep, when the mind is less distracted and more prone to rumination. By assuming that every worry or negative idea is personal, we invite unnecessary stress and emotional discomfort. Recognizing that thoughts are often fleeting and not always meaningful can help reduce suffering and promote a more restful night. Detaching from these automatic associations allows for greater peace and clarity as we prepare for sleep. As night falls, many people find their minds becoming unusually active, making it difficult to unwind. Thoughts may race, worries resurface, or creative ideas emerge just as the body is ready for sleep. This heightened mental activity can interfere with the natural process of recovery that sleep provides. The mind's resistance to rest is often linked to stress, unresolved emotions, or overstimulation from the day. Understanding why the brain stays alert at night is a key step toward creating habits that support deeper, more restorative sleep. The mind often operates on established habits, repeating patterns that may not always serve our well-being. These automatic responses can influence our decisions and behaviors, sometimes leading us away from what is truly beneficial. By recognizing this tendency, we gain insight into how our thoughts are shaped and can begin to question whether they align with our best interests. Understanding the mind's conditioning is the first step toward making conscious choices and fostering healthier routines. Buddhism teaches that the goal is not to force the mind into silence, but rather to observe the distinction between our thoughts and the underlying awareness that perceives them. By recognizing this separation, we begin to understand that thoughts are transient and do not define our true nature. This practice encourages mindfulness, allowing us to witness thoughts without becoming entangled in them. Over time, This awareness fosters a sense of calm and clarity, supporting a more restful state of mind. Awareness is often described as the observer, a presence that exists before any thought arises. It does not react or become entangled with mental events, but simply notices them as they pass by. By recognizing that awareness precedes thought, we can begin to understand the distinction between our conscious presence and the stream of ideas or emotions. This realization allows us to step back from automatic reactions, fostering a sense of calm and clarity. In this way, awareness serves as a stable foundation, unaffected by the fluctuations of the mind. Many people assume that their thoughts are the source of their awareness, believing that consciousness arises from the mind's activity. However, this perspective overlooks a fundamental truth. Awareness actually precedes thought. It is the silent, underlying presence that allows thoughts to appear and be noticed. By recognizing that awareness comes first, we gain a deeper understanding of how our minds operate and how we experience the world. This shift in perspective can lead to greater clarity and a more restful state of being. Before drifting off to sleep, it's helpful to recognize that our thoughts are simply passing events in the mind. They are not prophecies predicting the future, nor commands demanding action. By observing thoughts without attaching meaning or urgency, we create space for calm and clarity. This shift in perspective can ease nighttime worries and support a more restful transition into sleep. When we actively fight against intrusive thoughts, we often end up giving them more power. Resistance creates a mental tug-of-war, reinforcing the very loops we wish to break. In contrast, simply observing our thoughts without judgment allows them to pass more freely, reducing their impact over time. This shift in approach helps weaken the grip of persistent mental patterns, making it easier to achieve a sense of calm. By embracing observation, we foster a healthier relationship with our mind and promote restful sleep. Imagine your thoughts as distant sounds drifting across a quiet landscape. Instead of chasing after them or trying to silence them, simply observe as they come and go. This gentle approach allows your mind to remain calm and undisturbed, fostering a sense of peaceful detachment. By not engaging with every thought, you create space for relaxation and ease, making it easier to settle into restful sleep. When we observe our thoughts without reacting or adding commentary, we begin to diminish their influence over us. By simply recognizing a thought as it arises, we avoid fueling it with emotional energy or judgment. This practice allows the thought to pass naturally, rather than becoming entangled in our awareness. Over time, non-reaction helps create a sense of mental clarity and calm, making it easier to let go of unwanted patterns. The simple act of noticing without engaging can be a powerful tool for improving sleep and overall well-being. Anxiety and ego often arise from the strong belief we place in our thoughts. When we identify closely with these mental narratives, they can amplify worries and reinforce a sense of self-importance. By simply observing our thoughts without judgment, we create space between ourselves and these patterns. This mindful awareness helps soften both anxiety and ego, allowing us to respond more calmly and with greater perspective. Over time, observation can transform how we relate to our inner experiences, fostering a sense of balance and ease. Awareness is like a constant, steady presence, quietly observing everything around us. In contrast, thoughts tend to be inconsistent and often frantic, jumping from one idea to another without pause. While awareness provides a sense of calm and stability, our thoughts can create noise and distraction. Recognizing the difference between these two can help us find clarity amid mental chaos. By focusing on awareness, we can cultivate a more peaceful and centered state of mind. Resting as the listener involves gently observing your thoughts and sensations without judgment. By anchoring your attention in simple awareness, you create a calm mental space where sleep can unfold naturally. This approach reduces the urge to control or force sleep, allowing the body's innate rhythms to take over. As you remain present, distractions fade and relaxation deepens, making it easier for restful sleep to emerge. Embracing this mindful state helps transform bedtime into a peaceful transition rather than a struggle. Practicing mindful techniques at night can have a profound impact on how you engage with your thoughts during the day. By learning to observe and release mental chatter before sleep, you develop greater awareness and control over your thinking patterns. This newfound skill helps reduce stress and impulsive reactions, making it easier to stay focused and calm in daily situations. Over time, your relationship with your thoughts shifts, allowing you to respond thoughtfully rather than react automatically. The benefits extend beyond restful sleep, supporting emotional balance and clarity throughout your waking hours. True mental freedom begins with the ability to pause between an impulse and our response. This gap allows us to observe our thoughts and emotions without immediately acting on them, creating space for conscious choice. Rather than being driven by automatic habits or external pressures, we gain the power to decide how we react. Real freedom is not simply the absence of rules, but the presence of awareness and self-control. By cultivating this space, we move from mere obedience to genuine autonomy in our actions and decisions. Rewiring the mind begins not by forcing new beliefs, but by gently withdrawing blind trust from the old ones. This approach encourages a thoughtful examination of long-held assumptions, allowing space for clarity and self-awareness. By questioning the automatic patterns that shape our perceptions, we gradually loosen their grip. This process opens the door to more conscious choices, fostering a mindset that is receptive to growth and change. The nervous system adapts by understanding that not every thought demands a response. Over time, it learns to distinguish between urgent impulses and those that can simply pass without action. Embracing silence becomes a signal of safety, allowing the mind to rest and recover. This process helps reduce unnecessary stress, fostering a sense of calm and balance within the body. By recognizing these patterns, the nervous system supports healthier mental habits. Even when you step outside the constant commentary of your mind, the internal dialogue continues. However, you no longer inhabit its stories or let them dictate your experience. This shift allows you to observe your thoughts from a distance, recognizing them as passing mental events rather than absolute truths. By not living inside the mind's narrative, you gain clarity and a sense of freedom, making it easier to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Upon waking, you may notice that the challenges in your life are still present. However, there is a subtle but important shift. You are no longer entangled with the internal narrative that describes these problems. This separation allows you to observe your thoughts and feelings with greater clarity, rather than being swept away by them. As a result, you gain a sense of perspective, making it easier to approach difficulties with calm and intention. Buddhism teaches that the thoughts we experience are simply events occurring within our minds. These inner voices and narratives do not define who we are. Rather, they are passing phenomena, much like clouds drifting across the sky. Recognizing this distinction is a fundamental step in understanding the nature of self and reality. By observing our thoughts without attachment, we begin to see that our true identity lies beyond the mental chatter. This insight forms the foundation for deeper awareness and inner peace. Craving is often at the heart of restlessness, fueling the mind's tendency to stay active when we wish to sleep. The desire for things to be different, whether it's longing for a quieter room, a better tomorrow, or simply relief from discomfort, can keep our thoughts spinning late into the night. This persistent wanting creates a cycle of dissatisfaction, making it difficult to settle into a state of calm. Recognizing how craving operates as the engine of wakefulness allows us to understand why sleep can be elusive when our minds are unsettled. By observing these patterns, we can begin to loosen their grip and create space for genuine rest. At night, cravings often take on subtle forms, disguising themselves as worry, endless planning, or harsh self-criticism. Instead of recognizing a desire for comfort or distraction, we may find ourselves caught in anxious thoughts or mentally rehearsing tomorrow's tasks. This mental activity can feel productive or necessary, but it frequently masks an underlying restlessness. By noticing these patterns, we can begin to understand how craving influences our nighttime mindset and disrupts restful sleep. Beneath our everyday thoughts lies a subtle, persistent demand, the belief that reality should conform to our desires. This insistence often shapes how we interpret events and respond to challenges, fueling frustration when things don't go as planned. By becoming aware of this underlying expectation, we can begin to loosen its grip and approach situations with greater acceptance. Recognizing this pattern is a crucial step toward cultivating a more peaceful and flexible mindset. The loop of craving describes how the mind seeks relief by engaging in more thinking, hoping to resolve discomfort or uncertainty. This cycle often leads to increased mental activity, but rarely provides lasting satisfaction. Instead, each new thought can fuel further craving, creating a repetitive pattern that feels difficult to escape. Understanding this process reveals why simply thinking more seldom brings genuine relief. Breaking the loop requires recognizing its futility and exploring alternative ways to address underlying needs. Craving often reveals itself through distinct physical sensations. As the urge intensifies, the body may experience tension, particularly in the muscles, and a sense of restlessness that can be hard to ignore. This discomfort can manifest as fidgeting, shallow breathing, or an inability to relax. These physical effects are the body's response to an unmet need, signaling a heightened state of alertness. Recognizing these signs is an important step toward understanding how craving impacts both mind and body. Craving can be understood as a mechanical process, much like an engine that relies on fuel to operate. When we continually add fuel, whether that's stimuli, thoughts, or behaviors, the engine keeps running and the craving persists. Conversely, when we remove the fuel, the engine gradually slows and eventually stops. This analogy highlights how cravings are sustained by what we feed them and how removing their sources can lead to their resolution. Recognizing this dynamic can empower us to make conscious choices about what we allow to drive our desires. Craving is often confused with the urge to solve problems, particularly during nighttime hours. When the mind is restless, it can latch onto worries or unfinished tasks, making it difficult to distinguish between genuine needs and habitual desires. This confusion can lead to unnecessary stress and disrupt sleep patterns. Recognizing the difference between craving and problem-solving is essential for developing healthier nighttime routines. By understanding these impulses, it's possible to foster a more restful and restorative sleep environment. Many of us have experienced the urge to solve problems while lying awake at night, hoping that clarity will come in the quiet darkness. Yet research and personal experience alike reveal that solutions rarely arrive during these midnight hours. The mind tends to spiral, revisiting worries without resolution, making it difficult to find answers or peace. Instead, problems often feel more manageable after a restful sleep, when perspective and focus return. Recognizing the futility of late-night problem-solving can help us prioritize rest and approach challenges with renewed energy in the morning. When we observe our thoughts closely, we often find that beneath their surface lies a fundamental desire for certainty or control. By stripping these thoughts down to their core, we can recognize the underlying requests that drive our mental activity. This awareness allows us to see patterns in our thinking and understand how our mind seeks reassurance or influence over situations. Identifying these demands is the first step toward responding with greater clarity and calm. True peace is often found not by fulfilling every desire, but by learning to let go of craving itself. When we release the constant demands for more, whether for possessions, experiences, or outcomes, we create space for calm and contentment. This shift in perspective allows us to appreciate what we have, rather than always seeking what we lack. By understanding that satisfaction is not rooted in accumulation, but in acceptance, we move closer to genuine tranquility. When the body recognizes that a craving is no longer necessary, it often responds with immediate relaxation. Muscles may loosen, breathing becomes more regular, and the mind feels lighter. This shift reflects the release of tension that was tied to the anticipation or desire. By letting go, the body transitions from a state of alertness to one of calm, supporting a sense of ease and comfort. This natural response can be especially noticeable when preparing for restful sleep. Many people turn to scrolling through their phones or listening to background noise at night, hoping to ease feelings of discomfort or restlessness. These distractions act as a temporary anesthetic, masking underlying emotions or thoughts that make it difficult to fall asleep. While they may provide short-term relief, the discomfort often resurfaces once the stimulation fades. This cycle can prevent genuine relaxation and hinder the body's natural transition into restful sleep. Understanding the limits of distraction can help us address the root causes of nighttime unease more effectively. When a craving arises, instead of immediately reacting, take a moment to simply observe the sensation. Allow yourself to feel the urge fully, noticing its intensity and how it shifts over time. By not acting on the craving, you give it space to naturally diminish, much like a flame that burns out when it is not fueled. This mindful approach helps break the cycle of automatic responses, fostering greater self-awareness and control. Over time, you may find that cravings lose their power when met with patient observation. Discomfort is often perceived as something that must be fixed right away. However, the brain can be trained to recognize that not all discomfort requires immediate action. By gradually exposing ourselves to mild discomfort and resisting the urge to resolve it instantly, we build resilience and adaptability. This process helps us develop a healthier relationship with challenging sensations, allowing us to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Over time, the mind learns that discomfort is a natural part of growth, not a signal for alarm. As craving loses its hold, the mind gradually stops reacting with panic to uncertainty. This shift allows restlessness to diminish, creating a sense of calm and stability. When the urge for immediate satisfaction fades, mental clarity improves and emotional balance is restored. Over time, the mind becomes more resilient, less driven by impulsive desires, and better equipped to handle moments of discomfort. There is a subtle but important difference between wanting and demanding. When you want something, you acknowledge your desire without pressuring yourself for instant gratification. Demanding, on the other hand, creates a sense of urgency and frustration if your needs aren't met right away. By shifting from demanding to simply wanting, you allow yourself to experience desires without stress, making it easier to relax and settle into restful sleep. This gentle acceptance helps reduce tension and fosters a more peaceful mindset at bedtime. Craving often stems from the idea that our satisfaction depends on external circumstances falling perfectly into place. This belief can lead to a cycle where desires are never fully met, as there is always something more to pursue. By recognizing the endless nature of craving, we begin to see how it keeps us searching for fulfillment outside ourselves. Understanding this pattern allows us to question whether true contentment is really tied to external conditions, or if it can be found within. This insight is a key step toward breaking free from the grip of constant longing. Sometimes, the mind seeks certainty and closure before allowing itself to relax. However, true rest can begin even in the presence of unanswered questions and lingering doubts. By acknowledging uncertainty without striving to resolve it, you create space for calm and acceptance. This gentle awareness frees you from the pressure to solve everything before sleep, helping you find peace in the moment. Embracing this mindset allows your body and mind to unwind, regardless of what remains unresolved. Deeper sleep is closely linked to our emotional well-being during waking hours. When we learn to let go of craving, we reduce our tendency to react impulsively to stress and challenges. This shift fosters greater emotional stability, making it easier to navigate daily life with calm and clarity. By releasing attachment to desires, both our sleep and our waking experiences become more balanced and restorative. Ultimately, this approach helps us cultivate resilience and a sense of inner peace. Craving often feels like an unstoppable urge, but it can actually serve as a gateway to greater freedom. By choosing not to indulge these impulses, the mind gradually adapts and finds a new sense of calm. Over time, this practice helps to restore a natural stillness within, allowing thoughts and emotions to settle. The process may be challenging at first, yet it leads to a deeper resilience and clarity. Ultimately, learning to pause and observe craving opens the path to lasting inner peace. In Buddhism, impermanence is more than a philosophical idea. It serves as a practical psychological tool. By recognizing that all experiences and emotions are transient, individuals can cultivate a sense of detachment and resilience. This perspective encourages a healthier relationship with both joy and suffering, reducing the tendency to cling to fleeting moments. Ultimately, embracing impermanence helps foster mental clarity and emotional balance, supporting personal growth and well-being. When faced with discomfort or emotional pain, the mind often creates the illusion that these feelings will persist indefinitely. This assumption can intensify distress, leading to a sense of panic and helplessness. In reality, most painful states are temporary and fluctuate over time. Recognizing the transient nature of emotions can help reduce anxiety and foster resilience. Understanding this mental tendency is a crucial step toward breaking the cycle of panic and finding calm amidst challenging moments. As we pay attention to our inner experiences, we begin to notice how thoughts, emotions, and sensations naturally shift and evolve. This observation reveals that these mental and physical states are not fixed, but rather flow and change over time. By simply witnessing these transitions without interference, we develop a greater sense of awareness and acceptance. Recognizing this dynamic process can help reduce stress and promote a calmer mindset, especially as we prepare for restful sleep. When we argue with our thoughts, we inadvertently give them more power, causing them to linger and intensify. This interference acts like a spotlight, freezing the thoughts in place and making them harder to let go. In contrast, simply observing our thoughts without judgment allows them to pass naturally, much like clouds drifting across the sky. By practicing observation instead of confrontation, we create space for mental clarity and ease. This gentle approach can help thoughts dissolve, reducing their impact on our well-being. Recognizing impermanence can significantly ease our discomfort. When we observe change unfolding in real time, it reminds us that difficult emotions and sensations are not permanent. This perspective allows the nervous system to relax, reducing feelings of anxiety or distress. By embracing the natural flow of change, we become more resilient and less attached to fleeting moments of discomfort. Understanding the nature of identity involves acknowledging that our mental states are constantly shifting. Thoughts and emotions arise and pass, often influenced by external circumstances or internal changes. Rather than defining who we are, these states are temporary experiences, not permanent facts about a fixed self. By recognizing this impermanence, we can cultivate a sense of detachment and flexibility, allowing us to respond more thoughtfully to life's challenges. This perspective encourages a more compassionate and realistic view of ourselves and others. The human mind often resists impermanence, seeking stability as a way to protect the ego. This desire for predictability stems from our instinct to feel secure and in control. However, clinging to permanence can create anxiety when inevitable changes arise. By learning to accept change as a natural part of life, we foster a deeper sense of safety that comes from adaptability rather than rigidity. Embracing impermanence allows us to navigate uncertainty with greater resilience and peace. Cultivating patience and trust begins with recognizing that all experiences, whether pleasant or challenging, eventually come to a natural conclusion. By observing the ebb and flow of our thoughts and emotions, we can learn to accept change as an inherent part of life. This awareness helps us release the urge to control outcomes and instead fosters a sense of calm and resilience. Trusting in the process allows us to navigate transitions more gracefully, knowing that each moment will pass in its own time. Letting go of attachment means recognizing that everything in life is temporary. By embracing impermanence, we learn that both suffering and pleasure are fleeting, which helps us avoid being overwhelmed by emotions. This perspective allows us to experience moments fully without clinging to them, leading to a more balanced and stable mood. When we accept change as a natural part of life, we become less reactive and more resilient, finding peace in the ebb and flow of our experiences. Recognizing the impermanence of experiences can lead to a profound sense of freedom. When we stop viewing moments as fixed or lasting forever, we allow ourselves to relax and let go. This shift in perspective makes rest feel effortless, as we are no longer burdened by the need to hold on to every sensation or thought. Embracing change and transience opens the door to a more natural and peaceful state of being. When we resist reality, our minds engage in a constant battle against what is. This mental struggle often consumes more energy than the activities we actually perform. Arguing with circumstances, wishing things were different, or replaying frustrations can leave us feeling depleted and exhausted. Over time, this resistance creates a sense of fatigue that goes beyond physical tiredness. Accepting reality, rather than fighting it, can help conserve energy and promote a deeper sense of rest. Many people find themselves replaying past events, attempting to correct mistakes or resist memories that cause discomfort. This mental process can become a cycle where the mind is constantly occupied with what could have been done differently. Such resistance to the past not only drains emotional energy, but also interferes with the ability to relax and find rest. When the mind is caught in this loop, it becomes difficult to let go and settle into a peaceful state, making restorative sleep elusive. Understanding these mechanics is essential to breaking free from the cycle and allowing true rest to occur. Acceptance and approval are often confused, but they represent distinct concepts. Accepting reality means acknowledging the facts as they are, without necessarily agreeing with or liking them. Approval, on the other hand, implies a positive endorsement or satisfaction with a situation. Recognizing this difference allows us to face challenges more objectively, understanding that acceptance is a step toward clarity, not necessarily contentment. This perspective can help us navigate difficult circumstances with greater resilience. Dropping resistance involves simply acknowledging facts as they are, without adding personal judgments or commentary. By focusing on what is true in the present moment, the mind becomes less entangled in stories or emotions. This approach encourages the body to release tension, fostering a sense of relaxation and ease. Allowing yourself to observe reality neutrally can be a powerful step toward restful sleep and overall well-being. Often we cling tightly to stories about who we are, believing they define us and protect our sense of identity. This act of defending our personal narrative can be mentally draining, as it requires constant vigilance and justification. When faced with challenges or criticism, the effort to maintain these self-concepts intensifies, leading to emotional exhaustion. Over time, this resistance can prevent us from adapting or embracing new perspectives, keeping us trapped in cycles of fatigue and stress. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward letting go and finding greater peace. Releasing the need to uphold a particular image or narrative can bring a profound sense of relief. Without the pressure to constantly manage how we are perceived, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and self-judgment. This openness allows for greater authenticity, as we no longer feel compelled to fit into a predefined story. In letting go, we create space for genuine self-acceptance and a more peaceful state of mind. Rest is the body's natural baseline. When resistance fades, whether from stress, effort, or mental tension, the body and mind instinctively settle into a state of rest. This default mode allows for recovery and restoration, supporting overall well-being. Understanding this process highlights the importance of letting go, as relaxation emerges when obstacles are removed. In this way, rest is not something forced, but a return to our innate equilibrium. The concept of self is not a fixed entity, but rather a dynamic process shaped by our thoughts and memories. Each experience, reflection, and recollection contributes to the ongoing assembly of who we are. This perspective highlights that our sense of identity evolves over time, influenced by the narratives we construct and the moments we remember. By viewing the self as a continuous creation, we gain insight into how personal growth and change are possible. It reminds us that our identity is fluid, shaped by both our past and our present perceptions. The effort to maintain our sense of identity often comes at a psychological cost. When we defend who we are, it can create inner tension and anxiety, particularly during the quiet hours of the night. Without daytime distractions, our minds may replay moments of self-doubt or worry about how others perceive us. This heightened self-awareness can disrupt relaxation, making it harder to drift into restful sleep. Understanding this connection between identity and nighttime anxiety is a crucial step toward improving sleep quality. As night approaches, it's helpful to let go of the roles we play during the day. Releasing the urge to be someone or to defend our personal narratives allows the mind to settle. This gentle act of surrender creates space for true rest, free from expectations or self-imposed pressures. By setting down these stories, we invite a sense of calm and openness, making it easier for sleep to arrive naturally. When the narrative of who we are is set aside, a quiet awareness persists. This presence is not defined by memories, roles, or personal history, but simply by the act of being. It reveals that consciousness exists independently of the stories we tell ourselves. In moments of stillness, we can sense this awareness, untouched by identity or expectation. This realization invites a deeper understanding of ourselves beyond the boundaries of our usual self-image. When we release the urge to constantly manage and maintain ourselves, we allow our energy to shift from effort to restoration. True rest begins when we stop trying to control every aspect of our well-being and simply let ourselves be. This transition frees up mental and physical resources, making it possible to experience deeper relaxation. By letting go, we invite a more natural and rejuvenating form of rest, one that replenishes us from within. As we prepare for sleep, many people experience a sense of anxiety about letting go of control. This fear often arises from the idea that surrendering to rest means losing awareness or agency. However, even as our conscious control fades, our awareness persists in a gentle, passive form. Recognizing this can help ease the transition into sleep, allowing us to trust the process and embrace the calm that follows. Understanding that awareness remains, even when control stops, can transform bedtime into a more peaceful experience.